Hello, everyone. Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello, Jeffrey. How are you? Oh, Dr. Les with us. Hello, Dr. Les.
Shalom, Rav. How are you? Baruch Hashem. How are you, Rav?
How are you doing?
All good. All good. So, Rav, I don't know if you've seen it in the news in South Africa, but here in Israel, the demonstrations, it's something unbelievable. And, we don't really understand who's supporting and who's financing, but it's against the so-called reform. And there does need to be reform because the...
Dr. Les, I think that we lost you.
Okay, sorry.
Can you hear you?
Can you hear now? Is this better?
Now I can hear you. I can hear you now. Sorry.
Better. Okay. So they're protesting against the reform for the judicial. But the truth is that it's very undemocratic, the way that it's run. It's not elected, it's people are nominated. So then there has to be, everybody
Dr. Les, we lost you again.
Right.
Dr. Les.
Okay, Rav.
I can't hear you.
And now, is this better now?
Okay, I see that there is a bit of a connection.
Okay, is it better? Hold on.
All can hear me.
We can hear Les.
We can hear you.
Okay.
We can hear Les.
Okay, so
Maybe
I can't hear him. I don't know why. Okay, Dr. Les, continue.
Okay,
yeah.
So, it's become so bad, these demonstrations, that they say even if there's a compromise, people, I think they feel that because they're not, their parties aren't in the government, so this is how they're venting out their frustrations. But what's happened is that Netanyahu flew off to Italy, and they really wanted to block the roads that he wouldn't get to Ben Gurion, so he couldn't fly out. And you've had reserve pilots that are refusing to go to duty, and it's been quite an amazing turn of events. But people are saying, what is the real reason? Why are these people so angry, and what are they really demonstrating against? Because there has to be some type of judicial reform, because people are just nominated, they're not elected. So it's been for many, many years a very, very left-wing Supreme Court, and people think it's not just, it's unjustified actually. So hopefully there will be a bit of a they'll come to a compromise. But what's happening here, and I think this is quite telling, in today's Jerusalem Post, I don't know if you can all see this, they say Israel at 75, the changing relations with American Jewry. And
law. For
and
some reason, I don't get a good connection.
And we found that thank God, the South African Jewish community are very, very strong in the support of Israel. Israel needs, especially at this time, everybody's support. And what you see in the press isn't really what's true, what's really happening. So hopefully I'll be able to bring better news.
Dr. Les, can you hear me?
Yes,
I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, very well.
I can't hear you for some reason.
We can hear
a bit of,
we can hear. There's something wrong because we can hear Les very clearly.
I can't. I don't know. Maybe I have a problem in my on my connection. Maybe it's my internet. Can be.
Well, Rob, I'll just end off and I'll mention a very close friend of mine, who I'm sure a lot of you guys know, Mark Friedgut. He lives in Sydney now, but he's very Zionistic, and he's got a son who made Aliyah, who's a lone soldier. So he's a barrister in Sydney, and the Australian community wrote also open letters saying how they are against what's going on with the Israeli judicial reforms. And Mark has said, but what are you against? Explain what you are so against. So he's going to be having a debate, and I'll bring you the news from that debate, because it's really, really telling. Here you have somebody who's really, he's in the know with what's going on in the judicial, and people are just writing op-eds and articles, and they don't really know what's happening so much. So what you see in the news, don't always believe it's not 100%, But we all need, Israel needs everybody's support, especially now.
Absolutely. Well
Okay.
done, Les. Well
So
done.
word of gosh. And South Africa, I
Word
must
of.
just tell you, the community in South Africa are like outstanding. You know, the support, and we really feel it here. And it's so important to know that, you know, we have the support from you guys. It's so important. You have no idea.
Okay, Shirkoa, thank you very
All
much,
the best. Kultiv.
Dr. Les, and thanks for all the good news and all the new news that you're giving us. Shirkoa,
Okay, all
well
the
done.
best. Kultiv.
Rabotai, we're going to start with the show. The time is late. I know I'm going to speak about the time between Purim and Pesach, and then we'll speak a little bit about the preparation for Pesach. I'm going to speak about Bdikat Hametz, the Seder plate, basically to prepare us for Pesach. So Be'ezrat Hashem, na'aseh v'natzliach, B'Hashem aleinu berachamav yarviach. We're going to dedicate the show לעילוי נשמת אסתר קדן בת קטיה, מרדכי בן רחמה, הרב אברהם חיים בן אליעזר יעקב, תמר בת זהבה, יעקב סלומון בן פרחת דבורה רות בת בילה, שושה בלימה בת מרדכי בצלאל, מרים בת משה, מלכה רג'ינה בת ג'ויה, קטי גורג'יה בת פרחה, נשמתם תהיה צרורה בצור החיים. And now I would like to dedicate the show in health of Liora Bat Miriam, Menashe Naji Ben Farha, Arav Avraham Ben Mariva, Arav Shlomo Yehuda Ben Dalia, Arav Moshe Ben Devora, Arav Moshe Ben Bahia Batia, Dvora Bat Esther, Haya Miriam Bat Rachel, Orna Bluma Bat Miriam, Sheina Keila Bat Hana, Mordechai David Ben Lea, Tzvi Ben Haba, Baruch Ben Sarah, V'Chaim Nahum Ben Tzvi HaKohen, Shmuel Meir Ben Shosh, עדן בת רבקה וטוב אליבה בת רחל. Please God, רפואה שלמה to them ולכל שאר חולה ופצועי עמו ישראל בכל מקום שהם. Okay, רבותיי, the days between Purim and Pesach, Chazal tell us in the Gemara in Masechet Megillah, in page 6, folio 2, right in the end, 2 lines before the end of the page, Chazal call them something very interesting. They call those days Geula legeula. What does it mean? The Pesach, they call the days of redemption. What it means, the days of redemption? Those are the day that the redemption for Purim, that during the time of Haman HaRasha, we have a redemption from him. That's called Galut Madai. And then we have Galut Mitzrayim. That means that those are the day that between the Geula leGeula. That means redemption from one
Rob, you're not coming through to us. You're not coming through.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, but
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
We can hear you, Rabbi. Now you've disappeared again.
David, your thing is on you're on mute.
There's something wrong with your microphone, I think.
We can't hear anything.
Video is gone now.
Hello, David, you're still on mute.
Yeah, something happening by himself to this phone. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
now you unmuted, Prof.
Yeah,
Well
we
done.
can hear you. No, nothing.
Can
Yeah,
you,
but
I can't hear and I can't see.
your system is stalling.
And I have a good optometrist and audiologist if you need.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better.
Yes,
Can you hear me?
yes, I
Sorry,
can.
there's something wrong with my internet. I don't know, it's doing everything by himself. I'm talking and the next thing I see no one can hear me, so I realized that something was wrong. Is everyone can hear me for sure?
We
Okay,
can
thank
hear
you.
you
Yeah.
and see you.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
He's
So the
back.
days between Purim and Pesach called the day of redemption, from one redemption to another redemption. But what we're going to speak tonight about the difference between the Haggadah and the...
It's gone again.
Gone again.
Yeah, it's gone. It's breaking.
Why they didn't call both of them a Megillah? If it's a Megillat Esther, you can call it Megillat Pesach. If it's Haggadah, you call it Haggadah of Pesach, Haggadah of Purim. Why did they give them different name? That's the question of the Mefarshim, and that's one of the things that we're going to try and find out tonight. But before we start, I would like to explain something that will help us to understand. First of all, every word in Hebrew have a meaning. We have to understand that. For example, if we take the word ears, in Hebrew, ears mean the shoresh of the word, it's mean izun, milshon izun. We know that izun ears. If a person have a problem with his balance, they usually check the inner ears. Another example. In Hebrew, we call a cat hatul. Why do they call it hatul? Must be a meaning behind it. Hatul, it means that milshon hitul, that the cat actually clean himself, that after he do whatever he do, he cover it. Milshon hitul, okay? Like titul is a nappy, okay? That he always cover what he do. Let's take another example, and that I'm going
Oh, it's breaking.
Caleb. Why did they call it Caleb? So Hazal explained Caleb mean kulo lev. That means the word Caleb in Hebrew, that means dog, it means that the dog is an animal that is full of heart. Because we know that the most trustworthy, okay, animal is the dog, is most beloved. If he is the most trustworthy for his own honor, that means that he's full of his heart. So every word in Hebrew have a meaning. It's not like in English that you say a dog. They decide that the dog is a kelef, they call it a dog, but there is no meaning to the word dog. In Hebrew, every word have a meaning. So we have the word Megillah, and we have the word Haggadah. We have to understand what the difference between them. So, and they say like this, Megillat Esther, Megillah, it's milshon lehagid. But Esther is to find the hidden thing that there is inside the Megillah. In Haggadah, okay, it's milshon lehagid, to say. What it means to say? To mention, to talk. Hazal say Haggadah, that there is a difference between the Haggadah and the Megillah. Watch the difference. Hazal explains, it's all hidden. It sounds like it's happened by mistake, it happened in a coincidence, whatever you want to call it. You know, the Hashverosh was drunk, he killed Vashti, Esther come to the picture, she become the king. But we don't understand what's hidden behind it. So Hazal explained, you know why is it called Megillat Esther? That you have to find in Megillat Esther the hidden. That means when HaKadosh Baruch Hu make the miracle of Purim, it you can see it. Everyone saw it. Everyone actually knew about it, that it's going to happen. And we saw what happened. Like before every plague, before every miracle, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Moshe Rabbeinu to go and tell Pharaoh and his advisor, listen, I'm bringing the plague of blood. Okay, I'm bringing the plague of Tzfardea, for example. So there they saw the miracle. So what's the difference between them? Chazal explained that the Haggadah, you have to publicize. You have to continue publicize the miracle. Because in that time, HaKadosh Baruch Hu showed them of Purim, the miracle was hidden. It's happened like in a coincidence. Now, we have to understand something very important about the 10 plagues. Because the 10 plagues play a major key about the exodus of the Jewish people from Egypt. And we have to understand something very important that it says in Haggadah. In Haggadah, it says something very interesting, and we say it quite often, but I don't know if we understand what we say. And it says like this, Rabbi Yehuda Hayan Manim. Rabbi Yehuda used to give a sign to the 10 plagues. And what did he used to call them? He used to call them Datzach, Adash, Be'ahab. That means Rabbi Yehuda given different sign to the 10 plagues. But if we look at it, he actually divide them to 3 different panels, or 3 different ideas. Let's call it this way. I think that that's better to say. And I saw a beautiful commentary of the Maharal Miprag. Who was the Maharal Miprag? The Maharal Miprag was Rabbi Yehuda Levy. Rabbi Yehuda Levy, Ben Betzalel, he born in the city of Posen. Okay, many people think that he born in Prague. No, he didn't born in Prague. He born in Posen in Poland. He born around 511 years ago, plus minus. He wrote a book that called Gur Aryeh. Gur Aryeh is a commentary about Parshiot HaShavua, and there he explains something interesting. And he said there is a secret behind the 10 plagues. Nachon that Rabbi Yehuda, in Haggadah, he split them to 2 different ideas. And there is a secret behind it, he said. And the Maharal explained, you know what's the secret behind them? For example, the first group, or the first part of the 3 plagues that called Datzach, that's Dam, Tzfardea, Kinim, he explained like this, that there is here a secret about it. Why did Rabbi Yehuda split the 10 Makot to 3 different groups, or to 3 different ideas? Whatever you want to call it, said the Maharal Miprag, there is a secret here. We all know that Paro called himself God. He was saying, he started telling everyone that he's a God, and he created the world. That means he used to say, Ani, him, referring that he's God, and he created the Nile, for example. Say the Maharal Miprag, Rabbi Yehuda split the 3 plagues specially, in purpose. Why? Because on the first plague, the first 3 plagues, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought on Egypt, he came to conquer the idea that there is any other God except him. By that he showed that, number 1, that he's in control of all the liquid in the world, any kind of liquid. Not only that, he's in charge about what's growing in a liquid, that's Tzfardea, the liquid that he changed the water to blood. Number 3, in Makat Kinim, that means lice that was so small, that's the of the Egyptian of Pharaoh said to him, Yad Elokimi, that's from God. That means here they're already admitting that the Almighty is the creator and not Pharaoh. So said the Maharal, the first 3 plagues that dam, Tzfardei Akinim, came to conquer the idea that there is any other God except Almighty. The second part of the Makot, the Dats, Arov, Dever, and Shin. Arov is a wild beast. Dever is a plague of the animal. Shin is boiled. Said the Maharal Miprag, Akadosh Baruch Hu, and those 3 plagues that call Adash come to show the second part that people didn't believe. What did they didn't believe? Now the Egyptian come with a new idea. They say, yes, the Almighty is the creator, but he, Hashgacha Pratit, I will explain. Hashgacha Pratit, it's a private supervision. What does it mean? That here they come and say, you know what? HaKadosh Baruch Hu maybe created the world, but he doesn't have supervision anymore, private supervision on everything in the world. Came the Makat Arov, okay, and Makat Dever, and Makat Shin, that's Adash, and in that 3 plagues, HaKadosh Baruch Hu showed the pagan, because in that time, Egypt was pagan, he tried to show them that the most important thing that there is what we call a private supervision, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu still in charge about his creation, and he still supervises his own creation. That means nothing happened in the world without the Almighty. For example, he's saying the wild beast, a mixed wild beast, together to go to where? To Egypt. Not only that, he brought sickness on the animal. HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought sickness on the Egyptian. That means here HaKadosh Baruch Hu show that he still have the private supervision on everything that he created. And when he healed from a human being, the sickness from the animal, he took it away. That means here HaKadosh Baruch Hu come and conquer the idea of those that didn't want to believe an idea that there is Hashgacha Pratit. That's the second part. The third part of the Makot, now there is 4 plagues on it, and the 4th plague was Barad, Arbe. Barad is hail, Arbe is locust, Hoshech who come to show that he's the only God. Because the Egyptians say, okay, you know what? Maybe there is a creator to the world. Maybe he still have his private supervision, but we saying that there is another God. Here HaKadosh Baruch Hu come and say, no, I'm the only God. I don't have partners. There is no shituf. There is no way that there is any other God. How did he? Exactly, too negative. You put them together, it doesn't work. Here HaKadosh Baruch Hu say, I can put them together. Not only that, he come and show not only that he's the only God, he's also in control. He's the only one that can control. What has he done? He changed the order of nature. By that he put the plague of hell with fire. He changed the order of nature, that he turned the days to darkness. If it was another partner, Has v'Shalom, he wouldn't allow it. Here HaKadosh Baruch Hu say, I'm the only God. I don't have partners. So what does it mean? Said the Maharal Miprag, here we see something very, very interesting. That when you look at the 10 Makot, when we read the 10 plagues, we just assume that the 10 plagues just came, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to take the Jewish people out of Egypt. Nachon? For sure, that was one of the main parts. The second part is to take revenge, because each plague symbol for what they done to us. But said the Maharal, on those 10 plagues, and he divided them to 3 different groups, through 3 different ideas. What was the idea? The first idea is to implant in the Jewish people and to show that all the world, that there is only one God, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the God, no other person, no other human being. Number 2 is to show that there is private supervision. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu, nachon that he created the world, he never left the world. He still supervised what's happening in the world. That means HaKadosh Baruch Hu in charge.
Hello, Rob. Unfortunately, you've broken off.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think it's something wrong with his system. It keeps being intermittent.
Rav, you're broken off.
He can't hear. I don't think he can hear.
Now, I don't know, my Zoom doing whatever you want. Sorry, guys. You just do whatever you want. I don't know what's happening with my Zoom today. Most probably my connection, the internet connection, not so good. So now we understand why there is 10 plague and why Rabbi Yehuda divided them to 3 different groups. It's to build the emunah that there is only one God, that the Almighty is the creator, he doesn't have partner, and he still have the private supervision. Now we understand that. Now I would like to go and do the preparation for Pesach. So I would like to do the history of Pesach in the year 2448 from the creation. That means around 3,335 years ago, plus minus. No, exactly. 3,335 years ago. Okay, Moshe Rabbeinu, at the age of 81, redeemed the Jewish people after 210 years of slavery, after 210 years, of exile, and 86 years of hard slavery in Egypt. And it was on a day of the 15th of Nisan, what we call Pesach, Leila Seder, the night of the Seder. What's happening? Before we celebrate Pesach, Hazal constitute for us certain mitzvot. We have the mitzvah of bdikat hametz, checking for the hametz. So Hazal in the Mishnah in Masechet Pesachim right at the beginning, Hazal say, Or ל-14 בודקים את החמץ לאור הנר. That means that the night before the Pesach, the Seder Pesach, Hazal said that you should check all around your house if you have any hametz. What is hametz? Hametz is one of the 5 grain. You have to check every room, you have to check in your office, you have to check your house, you have to check your car, the storeroom, whatever belongs to you, you have to make sure that there is nothing that is hametz. Hametz is 11 bread or something that if you take, for example, one of the 5 species, okay, the grain species, and it's 11, that's considered hametz, okay? Like for example, if we take flour, and it's mixed with water and it stayed over 18 minutes, it already starts to leaven, and that's considered hametz. When should we do the bdikat hametz? Rabotai, we have to do the bdikat hametz 20 minutes after sunset. The bdikat hametz can start 20 minutes after sunset and all overnight. The following morning, okay? You know what? Before that, there's another minhag, and I have to share it with you. That we take 10 pieces of bread, less than 27 grams. Why? Because that's less than kazait. And the wife usually put it on the different room in the house, and the husband have to find them. And that people walk around, the children walk with the husband, and they take a torch and candles, and they're searching for the hametz. Why dafka 10 pieces of bread? Okay, those 10 pieces of bread, you have to wrap them with a plastic or paper, whatever is it, okay? And you have to put it obviously in a bowl. But why dafka 10? Before we're going to continue to the bowl. 10, it's to symbol the 10 children of Aman that been hanged that we read in the Megillah. Why dafka 10? Because those, the 10 evil forces that there is, that represent the hametz. Hametz in Pesach represent the evil forces, the Yetzer Hara. So what we do, we take those 10 and we put it in a special bowl. In that special bowl, Hazal tell us that should be salt. Not many people know that, but remember, when you take the bowl to put those 10 pieces of the hametz that you put around the house, put salt inside the bowl or the plate, it doesn't make a difference. Why dafka salt? So Hazal explained few reasons. Number one, that the secret of the salt, it's the same like we have secret when we do Birkat Hamazon, Birkat Hamotzi, that we have on a table always salt. Salt represents life, according to the Ben Ish Hai. The Ben Ish Hai bring it in his book, volume 1, that called Ben Ish Hai, in Parashat Tzav, law number 6. But why dafka salt? So we spoke about it. We done a shiur about salt on the table, that the secret of the salt, that gets rid of all the evil forces. What does that have to do? Hazal explained that when you put salt inside the plate, the evil inclination start to be jealous of us when we do bdikat hametz. He's very zealous. Why? Because we're gonna, in the following morning, we're gonna burn the hametz. So he become very jealous. So to get rid of him, that he wouldn't cause any mistake, doesn't cause us to do any problem, that has v'shalom, think we're gonna lose the hametz or any fighting, Hazal says something very interesting. Hazal tell us what you should do. Put salt on that bowl. When the evil inclination saw that, the Satan see that, he leave us alone. He doesn't come near us. So remember, when you do the bdikat hametz, Rabotai, around the house, make sure that you have salt on a bowl or on a plate that you're going to put those pieces of bread when you walk around the house. Okay, the following morning, now we're getting to the following morning. It's a mitzvah to burn the hametz. We take in all the bread by 9 o'clock, the latest, okay? 9:15 the latest. We collect all the hametz, we put it together. We actually pour kind of liquid that we can light it, and we start burning the hametz. There's a custom to burn the 4 species, Arba'at Aminim. Okay? What do? Those of you that kept the lulav, the hadas, and the aravot, usually the etrog, what you do with that, people do jam with that. So you take the 3 species and you put it where? In the hametz. And you burn it with the hametz, Hazal say, to show that we're doing a mitzvah with a mitzvah. That means the mitzvah that we use the 4 species, Arba'at Aminim, when? On Sukkot. We're taking that mitzvah, and now we have another mitzvah to burn the hametz. We're putting them together, we join them together, Once that we join them together, we burn them together. Mitzvah betoch mitzvah. Rabotai, it's very important that has v'shalom, that we should not desecrate the bread, because that can cause Hilul Hashem, that people will say, you see, look at those Jews, look how they treat the bread. So make sure that after you burn the Hametz, and it's burnt, if it's not burnt completely, no problem, as long that you on a plastic and then throw it to the dustbin, not to cause Hilul Hashem. Now I would like to get to something else, to the Seder plate. And I want to explain the Seder plate. As you all know, in a Seder plate, we have 6 different kinds of vegetables, even food, let's call them. 6 different kinds of vegetables and food. The first thing that we have, it's what we call it the shake bone. What we call the zroa. Zroa is a shake bone. There's a different opinion, first of all, between the Sfaradim and the Ashkenazim what to use. But why do we have to put a shake bone on a Seder plate? Why is it so important that we have a shake bone in the Seder plate? So the Mefarshim explained the main reason is, by that we're putting the shake bone on a plate, it's to remind us the Korban HaPesach, the sacrifice of the Pesach. What does it mean? When Bnei Israel left Egypt, just before they left Egypt, HaKadosh Baruch Hu commanded them to do Korban HaPesach. And while Bet HaMikdash was exist, Bnei Israel have to continue and do. When they was in a wilderness, Rabotai, for the 40 years that there was in a wilderness, or for 39 years that there was in a wilderness, they never done Korban HaPesach. The only time that they done Korban HaPesach, when just before they left Egypt, and after that when they enter Eretz Israel. So for the 39 years that Bnei was exist, okay, they used to sacrifice Korban HaPesach. Korban HaPesach, they used to join group of 10 people at least, 10 male, together, and they used to do lamb on a spit, and that's how they used to eat it without breaking bone. Okay. In memory of that, Hazal constitute for us to remember that what's happened when HaKadosh Baruch Hu took and command Bnei Israel to the bed, to tie it to their bed for 3 days, and after that to take that lamb and to shecht it and to put it on a spit. Why dafka that? Because that was the god of the Egyptian. So here we saw few miracles. That number one, the Egyptian didn't do nothing. The Jewish people that were slaves took their god and slaughtered them.
Rav, I don't know if you can hear us. We can't hear you.
It's happening. Sorry, guys, I don't know what's happening with my internet. Something just go haywire. Okay, so we do the shake bone. What's the difference? The Sephardim usually use a proper shake bone, while the Ashkenazim use a wing of a chicken. Okay, why dafka shake bone? It's to remind us the same like a Kadosh Baruch Hu redeemed the Jewish people in Egypt with a stretched arm. The next thing that we have in a Seder plate is an egg. Why dafka egg? Hazal explained the egg came zecher lekorban hagiga, in a merit of the sacrifice of the festival. That during the time that Bet HaMikdash was exist, they used to bring a sacrifice that called korban hagiga, a sacrifice of the festival. What do? We put the egg to remind us what? A sacrifice for the festival. What else we do with that? We have a small plate with salty water. Why dafka salty water? There's few ideas about it. The one idea is that, by the way, the plate of the salty water must never be inside the Seder plate. It must be outside. It mustn't be with the 6 pieces, with the 6 vegetables, the 6 food that there is on a Seder plate. It must be outside. Why dafka salt water? The salty water come to represent 2 things. Number one, the tears that Bnei that here we eating eggs. Why dafka eggs? Eggs is a food that the Mona eat. It's come to show a Kadosh Baruch Hu, listen, we celebrating Pesach, but we crying that Bet HaMikdash is not exist. We mourning, we eating the food of mourners. Why? Because Bet HaMikdash not exist. To remind ourselves that although that we celebrating Pesach, that festival is not a complete festival. Why? Because we don't have Bet HaMikdash. Hazal constitute for us to put on a Seder plate is because egg is very quick to cook an egg. It doesn't make, if it's a hard-boiled egg or an omelet, whatever you do with the egg, it's very quick. It's cooked very quick. It's come to tell us that we're saying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, please, we're asking you, the Almighty, the same like you redeemed the Jewish people, and it was suddenly, please redeem us quickly, the same like the egg can be cooked. Please, we're asking you to redeem us from the exile that we are right now in. And that's the idea of the eggs. After that, we have what we call karpas. Karpas in English is a celery. Why dafka karpas? Because if you take the word karpas, it's come to represent that while the Jewish people was in slavery for 86 years, it's the hard labor that they've been put. The Kabbalistic and the mystical rabbi explained that there is something else about it. If you take the word karpas, gematria 360, plus the word himself with the 4 letters that call karpas, it's give you 364, said the mystical rabbi. He said, you know what the secret behind it? I'll tell you what the secret. The secret is behind this, that if you take the name Satan, it's gematria, Hasatan, okay, it's gematria 364. It's to come, and on that night, that we can overcome and we destroy the Satan. Then we have what we call maror and hazeret. One is maror, one is hazeret. Maror and hazeret is the same. Rabotai. Maror, according to the Sephardim, is a lettuce. Okay? The Sephardim eat lettuce. The Ashkenazi eat chirein. So what's the difference? I will explain. First of all, why do we eat chirein and lettuce? That's the maror. It's to remind us that the better life that the Jewish people have while there was in slavery. While Bnei Israel was in Egypt, they're gone through the slavery. Now we say that there is lettuce and there is chen. What's the difference? The difference is very simple. The Mishnah Berurah explained, and many of the Mefarshim explain. Why is the Sfaradim eat lettuce? Because lettuce need heat, sun. The European Jews, the Ashkenazi Jews that came mainly from Europe, in Europe, they don't have sun usually, and the lettuce doesn't get ready because now it's winter there. To have a lettuce, they going through winter. So they can't find lettuce. So what they decide to do, the Mefarshim explained that they decide to take something bitter, to remind them the bitterness of Bnei Israel in Egypt. So why they're going to eat? They're going to eat, they decide to eat chen. And that's why the Ashkenazi Jews all over the world, they have this custom to eat chen. But the Sfaradi that usually lived in the Middle East, and it's very warm, or Northern Africa and etc., they can get lettuce. It was very accessible, and that's why they eat. And Hazal tell us that lettuce is bitter. And that's why we call it maror. So remember, maror and hazeret is the same thing. After that, we have on a Seder plate haroset. I don't know how you say haroset in English. If there is an English word for it, you're more than welcome to correct me. I don't know. They call it haroset. Why do we have to have haroset? Haroset is a mixture, okay, of different ingredients that we make, and we dip the lettuce inside. But what was the idea? The idea was of the haroset is to symbol the mortar that Bnei Israel have to build the city of Pitom in Ramses. The same like the mortar have a mixture of liquid, sand, cement, and etc. Here we take in liquid. Usually people take wine. Usually people take apple, they ground it, and they put it together and all different things. Other people, I know that in my family, we take the liquid we take a date syrup, we take all the Israel and Egypt. What does it mean? That to mix the mortar, you need liquid, you need sand, you need cement. In haroset, we symbol the suffering that Bnei Israel have to do with the mortar. The last thing that we have, and that's the sixth part of the food that we have on a Seder plate, is the 3 pieces of matzah. 3 pieces of matzah. It's the reason for dafka number 3 matzot, came when Avraham Avinu, on the 3rd day that he was sick, the angel came to visit him. When they came to visit him, it was on the 15th of Nisan. And Hazal tell us that Avraham Avinu didn't eat hametz because he knew that when Bnei Israel going to be his grandchildren and they're going to be in Egypt 400 years later, what's going to happen? It's going to be Pesach. What's this? Avi, quickly. Lushi shalosh se'im. Please make 3 different kinds of things that you should bake. That means make 3 different cakes. The cakes that they're referring, it was the cake that unleavened, the unleavened bread. And that's why we're putting dafka 3 matzot. Mahari lushi shalosh se'im. Shalosh is 3. That's the reason that we put 3 matzot. Yitzhak and Yaakov. Another interpretation why dafka 3, it's to symbol what's happening in a Jewish religion. that we have Kohen, that's the priest. Then we have Levi, that's the Levi. And then we have the Israel. That means that we have three different kind of people in a Jewish religion. After that comes Israel. That's why we put three matzot on a Seder place, to remind us what's happening in a Jewish religion. Number one, you have the priest, that he must get the first aliyah, he must get the first kavod, because he's the Kohen. After that come Levi, that it's below him, okay? Although that he work in Bet HaMikdash, he doesn't. That they stay outside on the Azara, okay? On a wall outside Bet HaMikdash, they're not allowed to enter. Why? That to show you the lower grade. That means that there is three different levels in a Jewish religion. So Be'ezrat Hashem, now that we spoke number one, between them. The one is hidden. The one is HaKadosh Baruch Hu done the miracle publicly, everyone saw. Number two, what we spoke, it's about the 10 plagues. Remember that Rabbi Yehuda said that he divided them to three. Why that three? We explained that to conquer that HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't have any more private supervision over his creation. And number three, it's to show that there is only one God. And then we explain also the Seder plate. We explain what every part of those food that going to be sitting in a Seder plate, what they're assembling to us. And with that, that when we have those food, what are they assembling? But I have to mention again, and I saw it a number of times when I was at people to visit, to celebrate with them, people make the mistake and they take the salt water, okay, and they put it in the Seder plate. The salt water should be outside the Seder plate, shouldn't be inside the Seder plate. Remember it. Next week, Be'ezrat Hashem, I'll do with you. We're going to start taking Haggadot. I will send messages and we'll go through the Haggadah step by step. We'll explain Be'ezrat Hashem. We'll bring different Hidushim, about the Haggadah. That was the introduction to the festival of Pesach. If you have any question, Bechavod, I will try to answer if I can. Bechavod, those of you, please unmute your microphone if you have questions.
You broke. Sorry, Rob, you're broken off.
Can you hear me now?
Now we can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you. Rob, the three pieces of matzah that you mentioned, and you gave several ideas.
Don't know why.
Can you not hear? I think it's cutting. Yes, you've broken off again.
Can you hear me, Jeffrey?
Now we can. Now you just
okay,
come
I
back.
don't know what's happening. I'm sorry, my internet
Right,
obviously.
no, it's the same. It's a pity. Yeah.
Yeah,
there were three pieces of matzah, and you mentioned the different ideas that you brought along with Abraham on the third day when he was sick, and then the three cakes, the unleavened. And then you mentioned something very interesting for me. You mentioned that it also represents the Kohen, the Levi, and Yisrael. Well, if you take, you're taking the letters, the first letters, and you were giving them matches. If you take the first letters of the Kohen, Levi, and Israel, it's a kli, it's a vessel. So this is represent the matzah is the completion. It's the vessel of it's what Israel, what Bnei Yisrael are, who we are. It's the whole nation. It's the kli. It's no, sorry. That that's broken. Shame.
I don't know if it's coming back. Shame, this is quite a shame.
It's a shame. I know, shame. It is.
So we put so much trouble into it,
Oh, a lot of effort. A lot of effort.
and then for no one to hear, it's like really, really shame. Oh well.
Yeah, well, we got most of it, thank God.
Yeah, we did get, yeah, we did get
Yeah,
some. Yeah.
at the beginning it was very difficult. At the beginning it was impossible, in fact. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Anyway,
okay. Yeah.
what can we do?
Close it.
I
Yeah, not much. Hopefully
Yeah, I
he'll
think-
sort it. But he's missed so much because of the load shedding. So to have everything okay and then the sound going.
I know. Well, that's the Yetzirah. It doesn't want us to. It's trying to do everything possible. But this is a month of Adar. It's a month of joy, and it's a month of success, and that's what we're going to do. That's what going to be for all of us, Mitzvah Shem. That we should all know that, and we should all feel it, and especially now in these days, which Rab just told us about, coming these days between Pesach and between Purim and Peisach. It was interesting about the Megillah which the Megillah which he spoke about, and why it's not Megillah. Why don't we call it? We don't call it the Megillah. We call it Haggadah on Pesach. Because one is hidden, and one's open. We saw what happened in Pesach. We did not know what was happening at the time of Esther. We didn't understand that. And so we saw the miracles, and then his rabbi discussed the 10 plagues. And
got quite a lot out of it, I think.
Yes, we did. That's right. And he gave the three groups, which were which are with the plagues, where the plagues were put into, and the reason because one to make know that there's one God. The next group was to know that God personally is involved, with us. He doesn't stand aside and let the world just go on. God watches us, and we're blessed with that.
Well, I've never heard that before, so that was a nice concept.
Yes, it was lovely. Anyway, I would like to just say good evening and have a wonderful week, everybody. Shavua Tov. And Mitzvah Shem, we'll get together maybe on Thursday when the Rob is, when we're back on he'll maybe I'll go over a little bit again. Anyway, God bless.
Yes,
Have a wonderful week.
Shavua Tov.
Shavua Tov, guys. All of you. Bye. Bye.
Sure. Because we were having a problem, it was just me and him talking. If there were other people on.
No one heard.